So let's now look at the climactic battle of the Second Punic War, the Battle of Zama, 202 BC. Going to the outline of the battle to understand Hannibal's and Scipio's tactics, well, some analysis skills. I will say before we start, I'm giving you the version of the Battle of Zama that I believe is the best explanation for it. I've read books of Richard A. Gabriel, and so I'm following his version of the events, really. Lots of key words: King of the Numidians, or Prince of Massinissa. Deployment, the way you spread your men out before a battle, where you put them, what side they are, what they're going to do. Deployment. Advantage, reserve. You have a reserve of troops, keep them back from the battle to decide what to do with them, depending on what you need doing. Attrition, a slugging match. Attritional warfare, try to wear them down. A slugging match, a boxing term, you stand there and punch each other. So a slugging match battle, no fancy tactics, it's just a fight. So, as we talked about in the previous lesson, before the battle, it is said that Scipio and Hannibal met. Hannibal tried to convince Scipio to accept his surrender on favourable terms without needing a battle. According to Livy, Hannibal says, "Well, look, son, you've been lucky so far, but luck changes." Scipio is not having this and ends, according to Livy, ends the conversation with the phrase, "Prepare for war, since you clearly find peace intolerable." As we know from reading this probably didn't happen. Livy made it up. Right, so Scipio's deployment. Let's go to the map. Scipio is lined up with his Numidian and Roman cavalry on his flanks, quite large forces, and he's put his legions in this sort of formation. Usually, Romans line up like this, in the famous checkerboard formation. But this time, Scipio's lined up like this, in echelon is the word, all behind each other. He's left gaps. So if the elephants charge, the elephants can just be funneled through the gaps and out of harm's way. Hannibal's forces. Hannibal's at a disadvantage. He has not very much and not very high quality cavalry. It's first time that they fight a battle like this is going to be a big problem. He's got elephants. Livy and Polybius mentioned 80. It doesn't sound very likely, but he's certainly got elephants. He split his army into 3 groups, 3 big lumps of men, 3 echelons. On his front row, he's got about 15,000 mercenaries, his brother Mago's army. Ligurians, Celts, Spanish, whatever. Professional soldiers. His second line are Carthaginians. Levies, volunteers from Carthage and the surrounding areas. So very keen to fight, but not very well trained. He stiffened them with about 4,000 Macedonians he's been sent, professional soldiers. And he's keeping at the back approximately 15,000 veterans, his men, the instruments of his will. Guys who've been with him in Italy all those years. By this point, there's going to be a real mix of guys. Some Celts, some Spanish, some Africans, lots of local Italians, Brutians. Very well trained, very experienced men. So, what do we think is Scipio's plan? Well, Scipio and Hannibal are great generals, so they're not planning a big punch-up face to face. They both must have clever plans. And what we think is Scipio's plan is this. He's going to have his Hastati start the battle. And they're going to clash. They're going to crash into Hannibal's front row. And what he's hoping is to keep them busy. He's going to have his cavalry defeat Carthage's cavalry, And then the really clever thing we think he plans to do, like he's practiced when he was in Spain. The really clever thing he's going to do, he's going to have his Principes deploy that way, and his Triari deploy that way. He's going to have a double envelopment of Hannibal's forces. He's going to crush him. It's a clever sort of plan. That's what we think the Scipio's plan. So, what's Hannibal's plan? And again, we think Hannibal has probably figured out Scipio's plan. That's why he's decided his veterans are going to be a couple of 100 meters back, about a stade, we're told, 190, 200 meters. So that if Scipio tries this envelopment and doesn't realize how far back Hannibal's old guard are, Hannibal can now he can trap Scipio's forces between his forces. It's a very clever plan. In addition, we think he's ordered his cavalry to do something really sneaky. When they get attacked, don't try and fight there and then, retreat. Try and draw the enemy cavalry away from us. Get them out of the way and keep them busy. That appears to be Hannibal's plan. He can't beat Scipio's cavalry, but he can maybe get rid of them for long enough to win the battle, the infantry battle in the centre. Right, let's go through what actually happened now, because none of these plans really worked.